Hi kids, and welcome to It's Storytime Kids. Now we're going to read Sticky Jam, the story of sugar. The story of sugar by Meredith Hooper and Katharine McEwen. This is a great book. Sticky Jam, the story of sugar. Now it's still raining out. I'm going to see if I can change this a little bit so it's not so dark, but it is very, very dark outside my car. I'm supposed to be going to the shops after this during my lunch hour, but I don't want to get wet. Okay, sorry kids. Sticky Jam, the story of sugar. This is the cane that grew in the earth in the sun and the rain. And there's some parakeets. This is the farmer who planted the cane that grew in the earth in the sun and the rain. I've got a hat like that at home. I love it. This is the rat that hid in the cane that grew in the earth in the sun and the rain. This is the harvester that cut the cane that grew in the earth in the sun and the rain. This is the train that carried the cane away from the fields where it grew in the earth in the sun and the rain. Wow, look at the crocodile. Alligator? I don't know. How awesome is that? Look at the train going over water. This is the mill that took the cane and shredded and crushed it and squeezed out the juice. Shredded, crushed, squeezed out the juice. And cleaned and boiled it and spun and dried the millions and millions of shiny, bright crystals of raw brown sugar that came from the cane that grew in the earth in the sun and the rain. Cleaned, boiled, spun. This is the shed that stored the raw sugar that came from the cane that grew in the earth in the sun and the rain. There's a little bulldozer, I'm going to say, and there's those parakeets again. And they're humans, so if the humans are that big, that's so much sugar. That's like a raw sugar mountain. Wow. And I think that's the conveyor belt, bringing it up and dropping it down to store. This is the ship tied to the wharf, loading up sugar, the raw brown sugar that came from the cane that grew in the earth in the sun and the rain. I do love a good ship. Look at that, kids. Really, really beautiful picture. This is the refinery that took the raw sugar and dissolved and cleaned it and filtered and boiled it and spun and dried the millions and millions of shiny bright crystals of pure white sugar that came from the cane that grew in the earth in the sun and the rain. So it was raw sugar, and now it's being spun and dried and all of that business again to make it the white refined sugar that we recognize in supermarkets. This is the truck that carried the sugar bagged into packets, strapped onto pallets that came from the cane that grew in the earth in the sun and the rain. What a great truck as well. There's a refinery in the background. This is the dad who went to the store and bought the sugar that came from the cane that grew in the earth in the sun and the rain, and stirred it with fruit, and boiled and cooled it, and put it in jars as sweet, sticky jam. Store. There he is. All his sugar. I wonder if he's grown his strawberries at home. I wonder if he's lucky enough to have a garden where he can grow strawberries in and make his own homemade jam. And this is Harry, who stood by the field and looked at the cane that grew in the earth in the sun and the rain. Oh, so it's easy to forget that some of our foods, you know, even though they are super refined, and some people say that's not good, some people say it's good, it's contentious, kids, but it's important, really, to know where your food comes from. And who knew when you're eating your sugar that is actually what sugar looks like in its raw form. Not always. I think it also comes in a beet as well, but that is sugar cane. Now at the end there's a lot of words, and I am going to read them, so bear with, kids, because I think it's really interesting. About this book. The sugar cane in this book grows by the sea in Queensland, Australia. Sugar cane is a grass. It likes growing in warm, rich earth with plenty of sunshine and rain. The farmer uses a special machine to drop short pieces of sugarcane into trenches. Roots push down from the sugarcane into the dark, moist earth. Shoots sprout up towards the sunlight. The sugarcane grows fast. When the canes are thick and tall, harvesting machines cut them down and chop them into pieces. The pieces are piled into bins and pulled by a little train from the cane fields to the nearby sugar mill. The cane must get to the mill fast. The sweet sugar juice stored inside the sugar cane must be fresh. At the mill, the pieces of cane are shredded and then crushed between heavy rollers. The brown juice from inside the cane is boiled in big vats until it is thick and syrupy. The brown crystals of sugar form. Then the crystals are spun and tumble-dried. The crystals are called raw sugar because a few things are still mixed in with the pure sugar. Enormous heaps of raw sugar are kept in storage sheds. From here, the raw sugar is loaded into the holds of ships and taken to a refinery to be cleaned all over again. The sugar crystals are dissolved and melted, filtered and boiled until new crystals of pure white sugar form. The crystals are spun and tumble-dried, ready to be put into packets and sold around the world. Harry lives near the sea. His dad works in the sugar mill. Harry likes playing on the beach, and he likes watching the little train rattling along its narrow tracks, taking the sugar cane to his dad at the mill. And that's the end of that one. So, there's Harry eating his sandwich. There's Harry on the front cover. Don't know if Harry is a real boy in real life who influenced this book, or if he's just, a made-up boy for the purposes of the story and illustration. But anyway, can you see that? The lighting in here is very strange today. If I do this, maybe you can see it. Oh, kids, it's still raining and I have to get to the shops. I'm going to get soaked. I don't have to buy sugar, though. I've got to get milk and I've got to get bread. Milk and bread. I don't think I can avoid it. They're sort of essentials, aren't they? Oh, thank you for joining me, kids. I've really enjoyed reading, and I hope you did too. And you take care of yourself now. Bye, kids.